Hello, I am Lisa J. Stocks, back with my Sunday Stock Talk episode. And today I'm going to be talking about, excuse me, money mistakes that I made along the way. And I was thinking about this because I was looking at an interview that I did earlier this year. And one of the questions was, what was my biggest money mistake? And I'm going to share my answer. I put out a video recently just sharing that little bit of the interview. But um, the person interviewing me said that I'm the first person who ever answered that question this way. And I know they have these certain standard questions that they answer, that they ask everyone that they interview. So my biggest money mistake that I shared in that interview was that I didn't focus on my education and getting through college, which is what I felt I needed in order to advance my career. Which it could be different for, everyone depending on what field of work you want to go into. Do you need to focus on your apprenticeship or whatever it is? I did not take the time to really focus on that. I started working full time. I already had my daughter at that point, my first daughter. And then I was just caught up for many years of going to school at night and on the weekends and working full time all along in order to squeeze in going to college because I let life get so overwhelming with having an apartment and having a car payment and all of those other responsibilities. So I was at a setback for 10 years as far as earnings because I hadn't finished school. So that is my biggest money mistake, but I'm going to go ahead and share some others that I also did throughout my lifetime and others money mistakes that I feel a lot of others are currently making. Jose, we want more content. What kind of content do you want? Welcome, everyone who's tuning in. Thank you for chatting and letting me know that you are here. And so I'm going to share a few of the points that I prepared for today, and then we can have a little open discussion Q&A depending on timing. But yes, please let me know what type of content, what you like about the channel, and what you enjoy. So now on to some of the other money mistakes that I definitely have done myself. Now, not focusing on my education. Okay, we already went through all of that. Any of those you guys that are just rolling in, that was my biggest money mistake that when someone asked that question, that's the first thing that came to my mind, not focusing on my education. Number 2, not exploring different types of investments sooner. So because I got started working young in my late teenage years, 19, 20, I was already working full time. I did start contributing to my 401k at that time based on my earnings at that time, which is probably very small, but I was always contributing. So but it wasn't until just a few years ago that I explored other types of investments, and I wish I had done that sooner. And I don't mean just investments as far as the stock market. I mean buying a rental property, doing uh, as well as investing outside of the 401k investments that I can tap into when I am ready, investing for my daughter. I wish those type of things were on my radar and I knew that I had the confidence and knew that I could do them sooner. I've done all those things now, but a lot of it has happened in recent years, and I wish that it helped. I wish that I had done it sooner. So I put that down as one of my money mistakes. Now, going back to when I was very young and hadn't finished school and, could barely, the money was tight. I bought a car that I think was too much car for my financial position that I was in. And once you get that car and that car payment and that higher insurance, you're tied to it for years. And I'm putting that down as another one of my money mistakes. And if you guys have ever gone to a dealer to buy a car, whether it's, new or slightly used, but at the dealer, they're just concentrating on telling you about the monthly costs. But you really have to push them and dig in and get the details because that's not all that matters. You need to know the interest rate. You need to know how many years they're spreading this out, and you need to know, depending on where you live and if you potentially could change your apartment or your home where you're living, you have to be ready for your insurance could be different based on where you live. So you have to be, ready for all of those costs. And uh, I put too much money into that housing costs, how not housing costs, I'm sorry, put too much money into that car expense when I should have been having the mindset of I need to focus on saving for a home, getting out of the apartment that I lived in, and not making more bills and things that are going to hinder me in any way. And I feel like that's what the car did. And I feel like that's what the slow pace of me getting my education did. um, so another thing that I did was not checking on my investments in my retirement when I was younger in my 20s. I was contributing, and now it's easier because everything is on our phone. It's at our fingertips. But back then, maybe you got a quarterly statement in the mail, or everything wasn't on a website the way it is. Guys, I know I'm telling my age. I'm a little bit older. But today it's even more easier. So I want to make sure to bring this to your attention because you should have whatever your broker is, that if you're working and you're contributing to your 401k, you should we have YouTube and Instagram and all these other apps on our phone. We probably have our apps to watch our show and all those type of things on our phone. I hope you have the app of your broker where your retirement account is handy and accessible, and that you're taking the time to take a look at it. It's not just it comes out of your paycheck and you're contributing to that 401k or whatever your type of retirement plan is. We have to be looking at it and know the performance, know and be aware and make sure that you are invested into the best possible fund that suits your needs, your age, and that you are on track. So that's something that I was not doing. Um, so, and when I got started in recent years, when I first got started investing, once I did, the other things and was in a better place, I still was a little confused as a beginner investor outside of the 401k. And what I mean by that is I was having a confusion in my plan and my strategy between investing and trading. And I made some choices that were put into my portfolio as though they were an investment, but they truly were a trade. And I should have been in and out quickly. I could have made more money along the way if I had cut my losses sooner. Or I shouldn't even have to say cut my losses. It shouldn't have been, um, I should have never gotten to the stage of a loss because I should have been looking at it as a trade all along and known, do I even want to trade? So that was an obstacle there because there were certain things that were added to my portfolio, and they weren't those easy things that just grow steadily over time. They were things that I needed to be in and out. I had to have a plan. I had to have my stop loss. I had to know at what price I wanted to buy and what price I wanted to get out. Nija's teasing me, Lisa, you had that AOL account too? Yes, I remember years ago, I was going to visit my sister. My sister and I were about, one of my sisters were about maybe 15 years apart in age. So she was a little girl. I was going to visit her, with her mom at her mom's apartment, and I had been there before, but I had been there maybe once or twice, I couldn't remember how to get there. And this is, again, before we had navigation on our phone or in our car. And they went online while I was on my way there. And I'm calling them and I can't get through because they were online and weren't expecting that they needed to leave the phone line free because I was coming. But yeah, I remember going through all of those days when technology is not what it is today. My daughter is here. She doesn't even know a world. My teenage daughter doesn't know a world where she can't, like, get on a FaceTime call. If she, when she was very small, if she said, I want to say goodnight to grandma, we could get her on some type of video call on some device in this house. She could see her grandma anytime that she wants. That is the world that she lives in. And that's the world that we all live in now. And the technology is here. And let me bring this back to what we're supposed to be talking about with investing is at our fingertips and it's easier than ever, just like so many other things. And we need to be making sure that we're staying focused and taking advantage of it. So, guys, for anyone who came in recently, I'm talking about money mistakes that I've made along the way. So far, I've touched on not focusing on, completing my education as soon as possible, uh, finding or being open to and knowing that I could have got involved in other types of investments like buying a rental property and having other investment portfolios outside of retirement and for my daughter at a much younger age, buying a new car and having too much money tied up into that, not checking on the performance of my investments, even if it is that 401k. We can't have that mindset of our employer. I work for whatever prestigious company or university or this or that, and my retirement is just fine. We can't go take that attitude because no one is going to be out here advocating for yourself other than you. We can't think that someone else has our best our finances at heart the way that we will for ourselves. So another thing that I was never had my head around all of the time is making sure that my money is growing and having being in tune with what is the rate of inflation. And I can't have my money sitting at Bank of America at 0.01% while it's losing value because of the rate of inflation that we are currently in. So I was slow to explore and get on board with everything that I'm doing now. So I put those down as money mistakes. And um, I'm doing them all now, but I should have been doing them sooner. And that's why I wanted to share and bring these different things to your attention. I don't think anyone who has any amount of savings sitting should not have it in a high yield savings account. I feel like we all need to have savings so that we can make sure not to carry that credit card debt, which is another mistake that I made of not having savings and having to be dependent on credit cards too heavily at times and unable to pay them off and then have that interest mounting and being in a long battle against it for some time. I see my Nightbot. I forgot to take out my celebrating 2 years, so I guess we'll celebrate for the month of December because it's still dropping that note. But yeah, there's lots of things that I if I had gotten my head around it sooner, I could have had more money at this point. But all I can do is share my experience, teach my daughter, share through my channel, and hope that if you guys are younger, I can bring it to your attention now. If you're in the same boat with me that you did it in the past, and it's well behind you, what we could do is to share with our younger people that are around us, our kids, our grandkids, nieces and nephews. Even if we're not able to necessarily open up a retirement account or an investment account for them, knowledge is very important also, and we can pass that on, and that doesn't cost us a thing as long as they're willing to listen and learn. There's so much that we can give in that way. And so these are the things that are always on my mind. And let me just take a quick second to thank thank you for that super chat. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. We do greatly appreciate it.
And let me just take a second, take a station break to go through the chat and see what I have missed. SPK, you were the first one in the chat. You put your comment in, your first comment in the morning, I think. Nija, each one, teach one. Yes. Okay. So Strapped is sharing that they are opening a Roth IRA and adding to it starting next year. I also have a HSA. Sounds good. Sounds good. Jose, I see you putting a goat in the chat. I am a Capricorn, so we will be celebrating. Oh, it's already Capricorn season. Happy birthday to any Capricorns out there. My birthday is not until next month, but I am ready for it. I don't think that's why you're putting it in the chat, but that's what it made me think about. And guys, I just wanted to share if you are interested in having a membership, I will be gifting memberships. So make sure you have that turned on if you would like to be eligible to receive that. Because I know I seem to think that a lot of people don't have that option turned on, because I know I see the same people always getting gifted memberships. I've gifted memberships at other people's channel, and I've gotten the gifted membership that I was trying to gift to someone else. So I think that shows me either I am just a really good viewer or supporter of that person, or a lot of people don't have that feature turned on. So turn it on if you want to be eligible for gifted membership, because I probably will be doing that later this month and next month. And again, happy birthday to all the Capricorns out there. Thank you for cooking and listening, Nija. Thank you, Stevie, for tuning in. All right, so let me get back. What are some good index funds for a Roth IRA? What brokerage are you at, Strapped Up? Let me know that, because I use Fidelity, so I don't want to. But I'll just in case you're not here, or I'll just mention a few based on your question. At Fidelity, I use FXAIX is one of my favorites. And then another two that I've shared about a few times here are, depending on what brokerage you're at and what you're able to invest into, VTI is a total stock market, or FXAIX is also total stock market. VOO and SPLG are some other choices that give you S&P 500 exposure. But I also invest into SCHD. But I just want to name a few, but I'm not sure what brokerage company you're using. So guys, feel free to ask any questions or comments. Thank you for chatting. So another thing that we were talking about last week was not checking your net worth. And I think that is something that if you've never done it, or you're not doing it on a regular basis, is something that you should do in order to make sure that you really are in tune with your money, and making sure that you are putting every last dollar to work, and knowing that where there are gaps, if any, between your income and your expenses, that you can work to close. So tracking your net worth is crucial into staying on top of your finances. And of course, budgeting and making sure that you are not creating from day one a situation where your money is all going out to different expenses and you're not leaving anything for that saving and investing, or not leaving enough so that you can continue to build up on it. So everything I talked about so far, I would say, are definitely things that I was not doing in my own personal life. So now I'm going to talk about some other mistakes that, not necessarily that I made, but I think in general, money mistakes that people are making. And the first one I'm going to talk about is lifestyle creep. And I guess I'm on the borderline with this one too. So you get a raise or a bonus and you spend it all instead of putting some into saving, investing, getting yourself out of debt. And it's easy to fall into this trap, but even if it's every other year, and I know it's hard when we are battling if inflation and rising costs, but you have to do your best to try to tighten up your belt and not be ready to pull all of that. The raise, say you get a 3% raise, try your best to raise your investments by 1%, bring 2% into the household, take a portion of that and, 0.5% allocate that to savings. Don't just pull it all into being money that is now going to be spent, is what I'm trying to encourage. And every time there's that raise or that bonus, think about it that way, and try to make sure that saving and investing is not a priority in increasing those, along with increasing, the lifestyle spend that we have. And poor spending habits is another thing. Letting all those things, like, nowadays we talk a lot about um subscriptions and things like that. But years ago we weren't really burdened by a lot of different subscriptions. Maybe you had cable, you had things that you were could adjust in order to save on your budget. But um it's just a matter of whatever it is. Everyone is gonna have a different kind of, money leak, is what I call them, whether it's eating out or, y whatever you're indulging in, just get in tune with it and think to yourself, "Is there any way that I can save here?" Um, and it's all about making a better financial, situation for yourself in the long run. So you gotta make sure to prioritize what you can in order to just make life easier in the long run, and having your money invested and letting it grow, even if at some point you do have to tap into it. And that's another thing I already touched on, is having investments. I didn't even have my mind open to, I can invest outside of money for when I'm over 59 and a half. I didn't have that money mindset. I didn't see anyone around me doing that. And that's something that I could have done sooner. And especially for my daughter, never mind myself. I didn't have it on my radar for either one of us until much more recent years. Columbia House and Finger Hut. Okay, yeah, I guess that was those were older versions of subscriptions. Yeah, I never got caught up with any of those music subscriptions, but yeah, I remember my friend's mom, that Finger Hut catalog, and they had like a low payment plan, I think. Yeah, I think a lot of people were caught up on doing their whole house with that catalog, if I remember what that is correctly. So, all right, back to another point that many people run into is buying or renting a house that's more than they can afford. And I already touched on the car situation. And my car wasn't anything fancy. It was it was just a regular sedan, but it was over $15,000 in a when I'm living in an apartment. At that time, I don't think that was a good use of my money. And on top of the car payment comes the insurance and the maintenance. So it's a lot. So I needed to have maybe gotten a used car that I could have maybe saved and got all outright. So um I definitely did not get into a more house than I could afford. My first house was definitely a fixer upper, and my realtor would say to me that Lisa has us on this quest um, for the best house. No, for the worst house in the best neighborhood. So I was looking for the rundown fixer upper on a nice street so that, I could get in there and little by little do what I could to fix it up. And that's what I was able to do. This house was bank owned. The house that I'm sitting in right now, it was bank owned, and they had winterized it, thankfully. So it's not like the pipes burst and everything, but it needed to be brung back to life, and I was able to do that. And have been here ever since. So, but a lot of people put too much money into uh the car, the renting the house, more than they can afford, and it just has yourself spread thin. And then how can you move forward with focusing on what this channel is about, is that saving and investing and staying out of debt. Once you make these things that we're talking about, once these mistakes are these obstacles are placed into your life, then how do you get on track um, to do better and make your life easier going forward and have your money working for you? So, a lot of times you hear people say that, we can't focus just on those assets, or not assets, those things that we feel are assets, but they're going to lose value over time. Prioritizing the car in the driveway, I don't ever wanna have a car sitting in my driveway that is more than my investment account. I don't even want to be sitting in a house that's more than my, investments at this point in life, because, if we can only work so long, and I I don't need my house value. I don't need the material things to outweigh my investment accounts for retirement at this point in life. So, everyone's number is gonna be different, but that is definitely how I'm feeling at this stage. And another thing, I think people have this mindset of investing can wait until later on in life, and it really should be a priority as early as possible, even if it is small amounts at those beginning stages, because I would rather have invested a small amount steadily throughout my 20s than nothing and be getting started in my 30s. Because the longer you wait, the money being invested, the power of compound interest, just get it invested is what I'm trying to give the encouragement of. The longer you wait, the more things that are gonna be impacting you. By the time you're in the later ages, you're gonna want to get married. You're gonna maybe have children. There's gonna be more responsibilities. Then you get a little bit older, and then you're in that sandwich generation that I hear so much about, of which I'm living. Not that I hear about, but I hear other content creators talking about it. But I am living it because I have family members. I have a daughter that is not yet driving. So, you have the little ones in the family that you have to contribute to them financially, 100%. You have to drive them around, you have to help them in all those different types of ways because they are minors. But we are in this age right now, many of us, where we then have our parents and our grandparents that also need our assistance, or older people in our family that need our assistance. And in my family, there are family members that either because of their health can no longer drive. I have other family members that cannot afford to have a vehicle. So then that's what leads to them needing a ride to the doctor, to go to the supermarket, all those type of things. And, um, even though my mother, well, see, I try to keep it vague and say family members, and now I'm saying my mother. Whoops. So my mother can no longer drive, but now I done messed up now. I can't even remember my thought. But let me go to the chat for a minute. So Nija's saying that she started out with $25 a month, and that's all she could do in 2016. Yes, grateful. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I want to encourage you to be investing 10, 15%, but get started with where whatever you have. Don't wait. Don't wait, because even small amounts add up over time. And I don't know if anybody wants to chat specifically about this last week that we've had, especially since Wednesday when the stock market dropped off. It's okay. I put out a video about that last night, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen no matter what is going on. It happens from time to time, and we have to be ready for these dips, and don't think that our new administration is coming in, that it's not going to happen under this new administration. It's still that we're still going to have ups and downs in the stock market, and we have to be ready for it and take advantage of it if we are financially in that place, and not wait for the those good quality stocks and investments to be thriving and then say, "Oh, let me start now." Have your mindset the other way of, while they're beat down, let me pick them up, build up my portfolio, and reap the rewards when we're looking back in a few months. In the video that I put out last night, I was just sharing that you look back, some of the things I pulled were from my own community wall and from my members community posts from 4 months ago. The stock market looked almost exactly like it did midweek last week. And that's okay. Because I mean, once you focus and you stay dedicated and committed long term to these type of, those good quality investments, not everything turns around, so you have to know what you're going to put your focus into, and then in time, you will be significantly deep in profit with a good quality ETF mutual fund, lots of individual stocks. I can't say, I don't want to say you can't. I definitely have not gone wrong with investing into, for example, uh, Apple, Amazon, Google, Tesla. Tesla is a volatile one, but right now I'm up nearly 100% on my Tesla investment, as well as, those ETFs, the SCHD, the VTI, some other investments like Main Street Capital, all thriving right now in my portfolio. And even when we have a period of time when there is a pullback, it's I'm obviously, I can see it on the day, but overall, my portfolio is very green, and that's what you might have to put in a few years of work in order to see that all of the time. But if you're on board with that and you are here, and even if you are a mix of investor and trader, put in the work and reap the rewards of having a good investment account that is growing harder than we can by trying to earn the money. Um, so, and all of that ties to understanding the fundamentals. I don't have to necessarily stick with everything that I add to my portfolio, but I want to be a long-term investor. I don't want to be focusing on being necessarily a trader. So I want to understand the fundamentals and understand the performance and the future of a company so that I can add it into my portfolio and kind of be in that set it and forget it, buy and hold for years to come and just let it build and grow. And that's where I try to do that's the kind of portfolio that I've been trying to build overall. Now I do some options trading and other trades, uh, but that is because I have the desire to do it, and that's gonna be a smaller percentage that I'm gonna have to put in the work to manage. But retirement is not like that. Retirement is gonna be kind of that set it and forget it, and most of my growth portfolio is the same. So, guys, do you have any of those, money leaks that you wanna share? Is it what is your vice? Is it eating out? Is it do you treat people when you go out to dinner? What are you doing with your money that you could maybe do a little bit differently? I'm sure there are some subscriptions. I'm aware of all of my subscriptions, but are there some that I could let go of? Uh, yes. I think one that I'm thinking about, getting rid of is the XM radio in the car in order to give myself a little break from that bill, but less bills for sure. Hey, David, thanks for tuning in. I see Prez in the chat. Drea, thanks for tuning in. So let me see. Oh, pipeline. What's going on with pipeline today? Pipeline always gives an update as to when he's entering. 25 minutes late today, Pipeline. I don't know. Last week you were the first one here, I think. All right. Vending machines and entertainment apps. Is that just streaming apps, a brother of a certain age? Is that you mean TV viewing apps? Yes. I don't leave the house, so I don't encounter any vending machines to I'm a homebody a little bit too much and working remotely and stuff like that. So yeah, no vending machines for me. And I'm too lazy to go to the gas station or the corner store or whatever to go get something. But yeah, just think about all these different things and uh hopefully at our age we know a lot, but as I was saying, pass on the knowledge to our kids. I know our kids may not want to sit down and talk to us about these different things, but I try to give it or have these conversations with my youngest daughter in bite-sized pieces, in small conversations. So it's not to bore her and overwhelm her. The last conversation that we had was about what are dividends and just a few basic things and the drip. So it was about what are dividends? Why would a company pay a dividend? What is the drip? And which is dividend reinvestment plan. I wanted her to have an understanding of that is what's currently going on in her portfolio. And she has quite a few investments that pay a dividend, like Apple and VTI, for example. So I wanted her to have an understanding that of why the company pays the dividend and that those are now being reinvested into right back into the same investment. We're buying more of those with the dividends. So we just I didn't even physically take a look at it with her. I'm going to do that as a next step, but I wanted her to kind of in her own words tell me what it is that I'm explaining to her and from the company's standpoint of sharing some of their profits with the investor, why she thought that the company would do that. And I think she had pretty good answers on that. And now this conversation only took a few minutes because, like I said, I don't want to be overwhelming, or boring because who wants to talk about this? but I need her to understand, and I need her to at least reply to me in a way that makes sense of, what I'm trying to convey to her. The conversation will become longer or more frequent if I'm not feeling that she has the understanding. Thanks for tuning in over on TikTok. I see you over there, Jaleel. So, how do we avoid all of these different type of financial mistakes? We have to educate ourselves, and we cannot be intimidated or overwhelmed with the process of investing. We can learn from those who have done it already. It's just a matter of finding that right person to use as inspiration in order to make sure that you are on track. So you have to figure out what's right for you. If it's connecting with someone that is just sharing their journey, like I am, reading books, um, whatever it is that you feel can help you. But you have to set goals and have a bar of what you are trying to accomplish, especially when it comes to retirement. I encourage you to find a measure. Is it the S&P 500? What is it, to see if the performance is in line with what you expected. And from there, see what you can do to make improvements if needed. But if you're not looking, if you don't have a standard of what you are trying to achieve, then you're kind of just blindly being a part of this system, which is but it's a system that we have to get on board with, because it's not like the old days where we're not going to have a pension and a thrive enough from Social Security potentially to live on. So we have to be ready to do this for ourselves. So we have to get on board with it and make the most of it, in my opinion, and making sure that you're diversifying your investments and just making choosing options that um, potentially are easy for you to stay on top of. And like I was talking about earlier, kind of that set it and forget it thing. You don't have to be overwhelmed. You don't have to trade. You don't have to do all these different things. But we do have to make sure that our money is working as hard as possible for us to grow. Wow, KG is in the chat. Thank you for stopping by today. Have a happy holiday with your family. I appreciate you for coming in. I'm sorry, I'm just saying KG. Keenan Grace, YouTuber Keenan Grace is in the chat. Appreciate you. Um, so guys, do you have anything else? Any comments or things you want to share about what things are your obstacles when it comes to avoiding your financial mistakes? What do you need to step up? Is it tracking your spending? Is it focusing on growing your assets? Is there anything that you guys want to share? Do you have like an issue with emotional spending? Remember, we tried to get people to invest into VOO 200 cheaper than it is now, and they bawled. We can do it. We can do it, everyone. Believe in yourself. Yes, yes, most definitely. And, when I look back to in my investment, uh, when I look back to where I started investing into VOO and VTI, and now I see the price today. I know we will never see those prices where I got started, and I just got started a few years ago. Guys, don't and I had someone I put out a video a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Get started with investing. You don't have to have a lot of money." And someone someone commented and said that when they got $1,000 that they were gonna start investing. And I was like, "Did they watch the video? Did they watch my video at all?" Because what I'm encouraging is If you have $150, you have $100, start investing with that. And as you have a 20, a 50, add that and then invest there until you get to the $1,000 portfolio. Why would we have to hold on to $1,000? Why are we building up $1,000 in cash in order to start the investment account? If you don't have a emergency fund, that's one thing. But if you are ready to focus on the investment account, then why hold it in cash waiting to get it invested when we have opportunities like we just had over these last few days where we could have gotten um, our our ETFs, or if you want to do a mix of say 60 to 80% into those ETFs and then in individual stocks or even some crypto, everything was uh had pulled back, and it would have been a great opportunity instead of holding on to cash. Even I think Bitcoin right now is below $95,000. So Bitcoin is 95,200. But all of the many of the Mag 7 stocks that I have in my portfolio were down quite a few percentage points, and um, great time to build out or get started if you are investing for yourself. Hopefully, some of you guys who have been tuning in over the last few weeks, if you haven't already, if you have a little bit of extra money, even if it's just going to be at Christmas and birthday and a couple of times per year, that you can set up something for the young people in your life, whether it's a 529 or a UCMA account, whatever you think may be the right fit for them in the long run, in order to have that money investing and growing, and give them a head start and potentially help them out when it comes time to go to college or get started working on their trade or whatever they have that's going to happen in the future. Abraham Lincoln. I don't know if I understand this comment here. Buy Bitcoin is going to the moon. Okay. I have some Bitcoin. Is there anyone in the chat that is uh not invested into Bitcoin or Ethereum or have some exposure to crypto? It's not for everyone. It is more volatile. You have to be ready for those cycles and all of that. But yeah, I think I am an investor that does a little bit of everything, but much more of an investor than a trader. Okay, I think I've been taking my station breaks, but I see that popping up in my night bot. Thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone has a great holiday. I will be back again next Sunday and every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Uh, if you are ready to open a new account or want to enhance the options that you have as far as research and investing, and maybe create a new portfolio, check out my investment links for Webull and Moomoo. And I also have channel membership available, so feel free to check that out. And as I said earlier in the show, if you don't have your gifted membership turned on, you might want to turn that on, because I will gift some memberships before the end of the year and probably next month. So have that feature turned on if you would like to get a gifted membership. But if you don't want to wait, you can join channel membership. That's also in my description, the details on that. Okay. So I hope you found this topic today helpful and interesting. If you have any topics that you would like me to cover, please feel free to put that in the comments. Um, of the video, not necessarily in the live chat because it might be a little harder for me to find in time. But I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I hope you enjoy this Sunday show and that you are ready for the holidays, however you are going to celebrate. Whatever you celebrate. I'm not even going to name anything because we all may have different beliefs and things that we're going to be incorporating, or even just having a little bit of extra time off of work, whatever it is that you may have to look forward to over the next couple of weeks. I hope that it is enjoyable. Hope the weather is not too bad wherever you are. And I'm going to wrap up the show for today. Again, I want to say thank you to um, SBK for the super chat. And I hope you guys all have a great holiday. Okay, Nija, I see your comment. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up for today, and I will be back next Sunday, as I said. And this StreamYard, let's see.
Stock it up, 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 stock it up. It's Lisa J Stocks. It's Lisa J Stocks. It's Lisa J Stocks. It's Lisa J Stocks. Hey, stock it up, 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 stock it up. It's Lisa J Stocks. It's Lisa J Stocks. It's Lisa J Stocks. It's Lisa J. Yeah, hey. Like, share, subscribe. Come learn about stocks.